So, Steve, what's the story behind the Jimmy Page Telecaster?
Man.
Because, I mean, that man is known to play as Paul. Yeah. So what's the story behind that?
Okay, so the story goes, when Jimmy got into the Yardbirds, he was gifted a white blonde Telecaster by, I'm told, a guy with the initials JB.
I see.
Okay, who was also a big Telecaster lover as well. Now, he gave this to Jimmy when he joined the Yardbirds, and it's essentially, you know, a 59-ish Telecaster. And I say ish because even when, you know, our guys opened up the original guitar, it's like the neck date I think had 1960, but you know, the body is essentially 59. And you know, like Fender in those days, we used what we had. And you know, a lot of the guitars ended up being different, even next to each other on the line going through. So this is a super unique guitar, excuse me, in general, historically for Fender. So you'll see one of the niftiest features here is that we've top loaded this because Jimmy Page used it as a top loader. Now, it's an odd year because they started doing this in, say, like late 58 into early 59, but people apparently didn't like it. So they ended up drilling through and then drilling through on the back as well so that people could go ahead and body mount it as well, or body through the strings. But Jimmy really enjoyed this version because it gives the strings a different tension, it bounces differently, it feels different, and it's got a different note bloom and sound all of its own. So that's one of the great features. The pickups, everything has been spec'd based off of his original instrument. The neck shape, the mirrors, the placement. The mirrors come with the guitar, but they're not installed from the factory.
All right.
So, because when he got it, it didn't have them. He added them later. So, we tried to do this in all the steps, from the original guitar, the first modification, and then the last modification that happened. But to round this guitar out, the pickups have been copied as best as we can. The neck shape, which is really unique, has a nice almost C in the back, but then has a shoulder on the edges. It's like a D. So it's like a thin D. It's an unusual shape, but I find it to be incredibly comfortable. Still a vintage style 7¼ inch radius with vintage frets, vintage keys. Jimmy was nice enough to let us put his name back there. And yeah, so this is as true as it could be, as vintage as it could be, that we could do in our USA production line. So the white blonde finish, everything is really right on. And again, it's Jimmy Page, man. Like, he recorded the first Led Zeppelin record with this.
Not with Les Paul.
Not something else.
Yeah.
And man, how cool. People have been talking about these guitars for 60 years. You know, why doesn't Fender do that? Why doesn't Fender do that? Well, now we did. So come and get one. And the great thing about being able to do it in USA production, as long as with the signature Telecaster from Ensenada production, is just about anybody can get one and then feel the fun of having that Jimmy Page Tele.
So let's grab the second one here.
Let us definitely grab the second. So this is the next iteration of the mirror. Okay? He stripped it all back. Got a bunch of acrylic poster paints and went at it. Had this thing in his head, just started and did it. He loved the mirrors on the original guitar. Of course, it wasn't going to work with what he was doing to it. So he found this crazy rainbow mirror film with this cool texture to it, and then had a guy there in the UK just cut a plexiglass thin pickguard for it to put over. And that's how this guitar came to be. So we're doing the same pickups in this one. The neck shape is identical. It has the unique headstock scoop transition that is unique to his guitar. So we've tried to duplicate all of the same specs across the line, regardless of price point, but be able to offer fun, cool stuff for everybody. You know, this is made in our Ensenada factory. It's going to reasonably be available for sale at a great price. For having the Jimmy Page provenance, the Zeppelin connection. I mean, everything about this just oozes coolness. And to be able to have it out for a lot of collectors and players to be able to get, that's even cooler. Because a lot of times things like this are way expensive and out of the range of a lot of regular players that just really want to have it. And so to be able to do it at this kind of level is incredible. And I know Jimmy's really excited about that too.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you.